extent of the commercialization in the two cities that we've been in the last couple of days is overwhelming to me. I am, the English have a word, gobsmacked. I'm gobsmacked by it.
Vietnam has made incredible strides in rebuilding their economy and strengthening their society and culture and playing a very important role globally. It has only been in the last 20 or so years that they have successfully overcome all of the incredible, not just war crimes, but economic crimes that the U.S. committed against the Vietnamese people.
It's mind-opening. We're just trying to understand it's not just another country, but it's an entire culture and an economy that's built around the concept of doing right by working people. And then there's a labor movement that is part of an entire way of thinking about society.
We've been to a number of meetings with labor unions, and I'm very impressed by the people who gave presentations. We also went to a factory where they had, seemed like the most remarkable benefits.
Both the leather factory, where they made the purses, and then the shoe factory. I was rather amazed at the level of detail of the kind of benefits and the protections, for the workers. They're serious about changing and improving the lives of their workers, but we know that there's those tensions that exist.
It's only been in the last 20 years that there has been the opening up of the economy and where foreign capital has come to Vietnam. And you see the impact of that, both positive and negative.
It's been complicated. I think my whole worldview has changed in terms of how we have been consistently fighting for labor rights in the U.S. and coming here and visiting a unionized workforce in a factory, yet still seeing the changes in terms of income inequality.
The global supply chain process is about squeezing costs out. And a major part of that is squeezing down the cost of labor. And how much of that economic dynamic is Vietnam going to be able to withstand? How much are they going to allow? And if they allow too much of it, doesn't that begin to erode their own definition of a socialist-oriented market economy?
It's January 15th, 2016. We are wrapping up a very powerful one-week journey in Vietnam with a dozen labor leaders and labor educators from different parts of the United States. And this is a project that has been going on for many years to try to strengthen relations between unions and workers in Vietnam and in the United States. And I think that labor educators can actually play a very important role in this exchange. During this trip, we visited the Vietnam Trade Union University in Hanoi, and we also visited the Ton Duc Thang University in Ho Chi Minh City, which is affiliated with the Vietnam unions. So we got a first-hand look at the field of labor education in Vietnam and their tremendous commitment to develop and promote the leadership of a new generation of Vietnamese union leaders.
Vietnam have open economy for 30 years, and the economy will be open more. There will be a lot of changes in terms of economic policies. And in the future, we have a younger generation. So their thinking change. And they want something maybe different from our parents, our ancestors' generation. So when they make policy, it will be different. And with the internet, with the more exchange, so it also affects the thinking. So the challenge for our country is how the younger generation they think more of the people. I mean, they think more about the development for the people, not development for economic purpose only. And that is the most challenges for this generation to pass to the next generation.
When we look at the TPP, a trade agreement that will govern 40% of the world's economy, it's impossible for us not to see this as a continuation of a corporate domination of both economic and political decisions. So a few days ago in Hanoi, we visited the Ladona leather factory. It produces leather belts, backpacks, a variety of products, has about 400 employees. As the chairman of the board got up to speak to us about the company, he didn't say anything about productivity. He didn't say anything about growth targets. He talked entirely about the standards for workers in his factory. Living wages, free housing, free health care, retirement, a culture within the factory where workers support each other, to the point of the company providing education to male employees about issues like domestic violence. So I think a lot of us thought, my God, this is a model employer. We don't see anything like that in the United States. And of course, a unionized employer. Our worry is that given what we've seen under NAFTA and given who's driving the development of these trade agreements, our worry is that a company like Ladona has limited time, and that eventually investors, global investors, will decide Ladona is an inefficient operation and needs to be replaced with an operation that does not focus on the rights of workers.
In the U.S., the way people are reading the TPP labor side agreement is that they're focusing on U.S. job loss. There's some focus on the investor.
In the last few years, there's been a breakthrough, and we have now recruited 4 U.S. labor educators to teach in a labor college here in Vietnam. That's never happened before. And the 4 individuals have done extraordinary work in teaching faculty, teaching students, and learning more about the Vietnamese labor relations system. At the same time, they've been able to introduce curriculum and articles and knowledge from a U.S. labor education perspective, which is very much valued here in Vietnam.
We are leaving a translated handbook for teaching labor education in Vietnam that is a compilation of some of the handouts that we wrote while we were there, and we hope that that will be useful to them and to the other people doing labor education in Vietnam.
And it's just been terrific because we have found that the young people here that we've been teaching at the university level are so open to learning and hearing about new skills, practicing them, and getting a grasp about things in the USA.
One of the best experiences that we have had is that we were able to teach a class about collective bargaining. We introduced a Vietnam-based case study and divided the students into the workers negotiating committee and into the management negotiating committee, and also a union support committee. And it was a kick to see these young women and men, mostly women, who really didn't have a context for this, but who very quickly got it, of what we were talking about, and that this was about power.
I think it's really amazing how much things have changed and grown in terms of the relationships between the U.S. and Vietnamese labor communities in the past 7 years since I've last been here and participated in the previous delegation. So it just gives me a lot of hope, and I wanted to really see what role that I can play in supporting continuing dialogue and support and exchange between the U.S. and Vietnamese labor movements.
The annual meeting of the United Association for Labor Education, which is our professional organization in the United States and Canada, passed a resolution supporting a bridge-building labor education exchange between the trade union universities, the three union-related universities in Vietnam, and our membership in the United States and Canada.
Increasingly, the economy of Vietnam and the United States is more and more integrated. And the corporations operating in U.S. and in Vietnam are in contact with each other continually. The governments of U.S. and Vietnam are in contact with each other on a regular basis. And yet, workers and unions are not. And that's a problem that we need to address.
Solidarity and partnership, there is no end of the earth. You know, it keeps going all the way around. Look, there are Vietnamese products that are coming to the United States. There are American companies, the same one that exploit and oppress workers in America, that are coming over here. For us not to talk to those organizations here that are trying to grapple, you know, and improve the lives of their workers is, if not ridiculous, it's suicidal. I mean, why would you not join with somebody who shares a similar pain and a similar mission? And I think we're bigger than that. That's what we started with, is that we knew, whether it was the initial sailors, you know, in the 16th century on the East Coast who refused to strike the sails because they wanted more money, because they realized that not just one sailor, but they all had to stand together, is that's how we grew. That's how we gained power. And to not grow and to say that it stops at the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean, you know, at the Canadian and Mexican border, is just, it's the height of stupidity, and it is suicide.